Hello and welcome to the first interview in this new series that I've named Light Up Your Practice. I hope you'll join me each week as I have conversations with wellness professionals and practitioners who have discovered the many benefits of incorporating LifeWave's unique technology into their treatments or therapies to help their patients. My name is Kathy Booker, and I must start by saying that I am not a wellness practitioner or professional, but I am a leader with LifeWave, and I'm here in the role as your host for these conversations. After being fortunate enough to have discovered these products 3 years ago, I'm a huge fan of the technology created by David Schmidt, the inventor and the CEO of LifeWave. There are many videos available that go deep into the science, but the focus of these interviews today is to hear and learn from practitioners just how these little patches, just like this, have made a difference for them personally and how they enhance the outcomes for their patients. And because every professional, whether they have a clinic, private clients, or a medical practice, is also running a business, I will be asking about how incorporating these patches have made an impact on their bottom line. So, if you are an MD, a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, a therapist, or a fitness coach, if you help prevent illness and injury, or you support healing afterwards, or if you provide services for humans or your furry friends, I hope that you will find the next few minutes of value and consider LifeWave as an option to benefit and grow and light up your practice. So I'm excited to start off this week by sharing an interview taped just yesterday with Dr. Lara Langdon. She has built her practice on helping people in pain who have not found relief with conventional protocols and want to stay away from drugs. And it just so happened that LifeWave patches were a perfect fit for her treatment techniques. After you see our interview, Dr. Lara will be coming on live to answer a few questions. So if you have a question about including the patches in your business, please enter it in the Q&A below and we'll get those answered for you. And with that, let me start our conversation. Hello, today I'd like to welcome Dr. Lara Langdon. And Dr. Lara has over 20 years of clinical and academic experience in orthopedic, neuromuscular, and rehabilitative physical therapy. She received her clinical doctorate in Massachusetts General Hospital, has a practice based in holistic medicine, combining Eastern and Western therapies. Dr. Lara has a clinical interest and passion in searching out the newest technologies to ease pain and suffering in those who have failed with traditional therapies. And we have known each other for a couple of years now. I love learning from you, and I'm very excited to hear today about how you've brought LifeWave patches into your practice and how they are benefiting your patients.
Happy to be here.
So, why don't you start by telling me and our viewers a little bit about your practice?
Yeah. Well, so I have a small private practice in Encinitas, California, in North San Diego. And I am in a unique situation that I've created to be able to work with patients one-on-one, me, myself, and I. And I'm able to work with them to really look at their complex issues, listen to them carefully, see where other therapies have failed, and then really try to integrate some new ideas into their daily life and the work that I can be doing with them. So I tend to draw referrals from other doctors, chiropractors, MDs, acupuncturists that know of my work, and I'm able to spend enough time with each of my patients that we can really get a clear idea of what's happening, what's failed, and where we can go and try different things. And that has really brought me around to a lot of chronic pain patients, patients who live with a lot of pain on a daily basis, who have really tried everything. And that's kind of my little niche that I like, because I call myself an expert at puzzles. And I do have a strong background in both teaching anatomy and medical school at UCSD, and having had the experience of over 20 years of working in different environments and specialties with PT. So I'm well-rounded.
Well, I know I've heard you teach before, and particularly about the patches, and you're very good at it, and
Thank
I
you.
always learn listening to you. So how did you learn about LifeWave products, and what persuaded you to try them?
So 2 years ago, I was on a little bit of a quest to really search out some good new technologically advanced products and technologies that really could address things in a different way. We have a changing time that we're in right now, and I was really on a quest to see what else can I add to my practice beyond the manual, beyond the intuitive, and beyond some of the healing techniques that I have. And so I was really looking at a number of technologies. And at the same time, a colleague of mine said, "Hey, I'm hearing something about stem cell patches that you can put on your skin." And I said, "That's just absolutely crazy, makes no sense." But I went with her to a presentation and I kind of listened and I thought, "Oh, that's really interesting." I did hear a lot about the immune system. And it so happened that about 3 days later, I was preparing to go on a yoga retreat. And then I started coming down really fast with like a flu or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, shoot, I've got this trip coming up." So I called up Paula, who had done the presentation. And I said, "Hey, do you have any of those X39 patches? Because now's the time I can really try it." Right. So I drove over to her house and I got a pack and I put them on. And within 12 hours, I was feeling about 90% better. I knew that I was turning a corner and going in the right direction. So I've done them ever since. And I have to say, I was good within 24 hours. I went on my trip, had a great time, and I have literally not been sick since, knock on wood or something. So the immune system is where I entered and found out about LifeWave, but really there's so many other good patches that I've been able to explore because that just piqued my interest. And then I was able to say, okay, what else is going on here? And the fact that they worked so quickly was really astounding to me. And I had to kind of check it out because obviously if it's working for me, I want to see what it can do for my patients.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
Firsthand experience is always the best.
Sure.
So at that some point you started integrating that with your patients. Why don't you talk about how you did that and what kind of results you got?
Sure. Actually, pretty much the second I got back, I started experimenting with the different patches. And the way that I started to integrate with them was after I had seen some of the different effects and really educated myself around the different patches and what they do. For me personally, seeing a pain population, my two favorites would probably be the Eon, which addresses inflammation, which is often the cause of the pain in the first place. It's also helpful diagnostically if I'm seeing a patient for the first time before I actually do any testing. I have them kind of move their body and tell me what their pain is on like 0 to 10, or where is it really intense. And I say, think about what that feels like for you and the intensity and the quality of the pain. I put an Eon patch, usually on C7 on the back of the neck. And then I give them about 20 seconds. And all of my patients know to show up hydrated. So that's also really important to say, is that energy travels through the water and interstitial tissues of your body. So we need that to be well hydrated. And sometimes I have a glass of water for them if they're not, because that's important to see if it's going to work. And then I wait about 20 seconds. And I just say, tell me if it's changed at all. And I started seeing so many patients say, yeah, like I actually just kind of feel relaxed and something's different. Or, yeah, that actually helps a lot. And they start really moving to test it out. And so that's kind of how I started learning, was I learned to see the reactions of my patients when they started thinking, oh, that's really quick. And I thought, well, this is genius. If I can start getting their pain to actually start going down immediately on the first visit, that makes me look like a rock star. And they start to see also that their body can change that fast. And so when you do that proving with this patch, it's incredible. So usually I'll start with an Eon just to see, because I think that's the fastest patch out of all of them. Then I'll follow, if there's still some pain, with ice waves. And I'll just kind of like play around with the ice waves. So the ice wave and the Eons together are really beneficial for pain and quickly. On top of that, I like the X39 because it's, the stem cell patch, but that it wouldn't be the first one I would use with a patient in my clinic, because it doesn't, once in a while it might get their pain. But usually that's something I promote as really more of an investment, because it's going to actually really work at the cellular level to change the bio electricity of the body and to really stimulate a process that's going to take longer. So that I sell that as more of an investment. So I like people to commit to 3 months on the X39 if they have something like arthritis, or they have diabetes, or they have conditions that they've had for a long time. And used in combination with the Eon and the ice wave, it is very powerful. And then beyond that, a glutathione can be really helpful for pain. So those are the main ones that I think about when I'm looking at an actual like pain. And that's why many people will show up to a clinic or with a clinician, it's because they're feeling pain. So it's kind of a good entry point.
Yes. Do you see your patients after that as well, and for other things besides pain?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the other thing that a lot of people are concerned about right now is their immune system and how they can support themselves in the immune system in the times that we're in, or during any regular flu season or colds or allergies. So I think it's really important that we support the immune system. And so I think the X39 and the glutathione are very, very strong in that area with the antioxidant effect. And they can be paired with other patches. So you can address both pain and invest in the immune system, because we really do need a strong immune system. And we know that comes from our gut. So it's really important to support the whole process, and also educate patients when they're using these patches. But what I really like about the patches for my patients is that I have them, I say, keep it by your toothbrush, because we know we usually do that in the morning and the evening. So that's an easy way for patients not to sort of forget, or it's in their purse. And because a lot of times initially they're like, oh, shoot, I just forgot to use them. So anytime you're creating a new habit, you really want to do it for at least 3 weeks. And I find that that's the best place, is put them by your toothbrush, because you know you'll be there a couple times a day, whether you're wearing them in the morning or putting them on at night or taking them off. It's a good reminder and a place you're going to visit. So that's been really, really helpful. Sure.
And with the changes this last year, everybody's had to learn to work differently. How
Yes.
have obviously your practice has changed as well. How have the patches kind of helped you stay in touch with patients during that time, and how do you see them as a tool moving forward in 2020,
Yeah.
2021?
That's okay. So, one thing that I've done this year, or since I'd say almost a full year now, is, we've all gone as clinicians more to, telemedicine, and having to communicate with our patients, that either are worried about coming in, or it's not practical. I've been lucky that most of my patients are investing in their health all the time, whether it's COVID-19, a flu, a cold, allergies. They're really always empowering their body to fight whatever's out there. And one thing that I've done as a clinician is I've written several newsletters, once a month or so, and I send them to my list of patients. And I'm like, hey, here are some ways you can empower your health. Here are some ways you can invest in your immune system. How can you get stronger without, what can you do in your own house? What can you do for yourself? How can you empower your own body without needing anybody else? And I do really drive that point home, is that we do have everything we need to heal in our body, but the environment, things we're putting in our body, being dehydrated, our mental state, our emotional state, our attitude, fear, right?
Mhm.
All of those things are going to impact us. So we really do also need to kind of kickstart something in our body. And that's what I love about the LifeWave patches, because that's exactly what they do. They really are powered by the human body. They're set off by the heat on the skin. And then they're simply reflecting that the infrared back into our body for that purpose. And so this is a really easy way to do on telemedicine. It's a really easy way to do a newsletter. It's a great way to, like, a phone call or a text. Hey, I want to know how you're doing. Are the patches helping, or what could be better in your life, right? So I've had patients call me and say, I'm really worried about coming in. I'm kind of locked down. So what could I do for my neck pain? And I say, well, let's try an Eon patch for a month, once a day for a month. Let's just start there. So conservative. It's super easy. You can do it online. It's all guaranteed. So really it's a no-brainer to give it a try if a patient isn't really wanting to come in. So certainly it falls into telemedicine. It's really, moving forward, we really don't know the state of things, and we're all in sort of different categories right now of being able to get up and out. So it's a really easy thing that you can have sent directly to your house. And so I just see it growing more and more. And things are, people are working from home more now too. So I really just see that the trend is going that way. As much as we can have things that we can do self-healing and good habits to help our health, those things are only going to grow right now and this year.
Now, you mentioned that the patient can have them patches sent directly to their house. Is the company pretty easy to work with to make that happen?
So easy. It's really, the customer service is really quite amazing with LifeWave. And, it's a 30 to a 90-day money back guarantee, as far as I know, for a couple different reasons. But the nice thing is that the company is willing to, they're confident enough that you're going to receive some benefits and feel better, that they're willing to let you try it. And then if for any reason you're unhappy or you're not sure, or you want to like give it back, you basically can just call the customer service and they will send you a number and you send it back in the mail, and they give you your money back. And in 2 years, I've only had one patient, and it wasn't, she didn't really give it a good try. She was just a little skittish. And so she had other things going on. So I just said, hey, give customer service a call. And she did, and she got them right back. And she texted me that it was really easy, you're right, So I've only had one experience with that, but I have heard from other people that are doing the business that it's been really, really easy for them to do. And customer service is always there when you call. It's
Well,
never a line. They do answer the phone and help you through whatever you need. So really you're not really taking a chance. You're just trying it, taking the opportunity. But for, if any reason, they don't even ask questions. It's just a really easy refund. So.
and that's a great track record too. With 2 years of working with patients, you've only had one instance where anybody was not happy with them. So
Right.
that's
People like them. People like them. In fact, when I give out, if I give it out, a sample or try this for 3 days, as part of their treatment, they often come back and I say, hey, how was the patch? And they're like, oh, I'm not really sure, but I patched my hairdresser and I patched my dog because it's fun. People like to patch. And if you tell me that you have a pain, I want to like pull something out of my purse and say, oh, try this, So I think it's an easy, really simple thing to do.
What do you see the kind of the future of medicine or therapies in the next 5 to 10 years? Do you think something like this kind of treatment is going to be very kind of the thing to do?
I really think that medicine is going to evolve and toward more of these types of self-help. And you've seen it already this year, right? Like Instagram and Facebook, and everybody has something they're trying to sell you. It's a superfood coffee, or it's a exercise band, and everything is really gearing more toward what can you do at home? What can you do for yourself? How can you empower your own health? Do you need to go to so many doctor visits? Because I think that people are seeing that they don't always have the answers. And I think people are getting more and more skeptical about putting medicine in their body. I just think that's the way that things are going. So I think new technologies like LifeWave that have the ease, the low cost, they're very affordable, and something you can do at home. It doesn't require any electronics. You don't have to know about computers or do anything. You just can keep a sleeve in your purse, and you can put it on when you need it, or you can share it with your friends. It's a really natural, easy therapy. And I think people are going more and more toward that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, there's obviously been a huge focus on health, and I think people are, it's very obvious that the people who are suffering the most with what, the current situation are the ones that are in the least health. So there
Yeah.
really is more of an incentive to take care of ourselves and build up our immune systems so that when we can fight off everything. And so I see that as really being people, just a bigger awareness of that
Mhm.
situation.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I think it's really important what we're teaching our kids as well. And this is a time where they're looking at the news, looking at their phones, and they know that we're in a bit of a crisis right now. And I think we also can educate our children and the next generation as to a way to empower their own health without having to be at the mercy of whatever's out there. So.
Exactly. Yes. Great. So one last question. We've got many other professionals and practitioners that'll be watching this interview. What kind of message would you like to share with them about the LifeWave and the patch technology?
Yeah, I think this has been probably the best adjunct to add into a practice that I had always, kind of created by hand, like I really put a lot of thought into exactly what kind of practice I want to have. And I really want to be offering the latest and greatest to my patients of what's out there, and easy things that don't require, like I said, a lot of cost or a big machine to be hooked up to. So I really think that this is not only a natural way to increase your own results in your practice, but it's also potentially a little more revenue you can bring in a time that everybody is needing that. So there's also, so there's the clinical side of it, and then there's also the business side of it. And it's just such a natural fit for clinicians to use this in their practice. Maybe I have like a stash that I have in my office so that I can sell people, retailers, say, hey, try this for a month. And then it's an easy segue, if it's working for them, to say, hey, you know what, let's set you up for a wholesale account, because that way you can keep doing it at a really affordable rate. And I want to see you be successful. So I just wanted to introduce you to it, if you think. And then I'll either kind of sign them up with their information, or I'll teach them how to sign up. But really, you're not making like a monthly donation. You don't have to, do anything crazy. You can just try them and use them. If they're working for you, then that's great. But it's really been a great add-on for my clinic and I don't ever see a time that I'm not going to be using these on myself, my family, my patients, because everybody really likes them. Yeah.
And the word is that there's some more interesting patches to come down the
line.
line. So
I'm really excited to hear that soon, in a couple of weeks. So,
well, I don't think the patches are coming in a couple of weeks, but I think we'll be hearing about it more.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and I think everybody will really benefit from hearing you. So,
yeah, always happy to help, and always nice to talk to you, Kathy. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Well, how did you guys like that? Why don't you let me know? And I'm going to, we've got Dr. Lara here herself. I'm going to bring her on and we'll be able to answer your questions. Let me promote her to a panelist. And I'm glad you liked it, Marie-Helene. If anybody has questions, please either in the chat, I've got both of them open, the chat and the Q&A both. Just type in a question if you've got one. And let me just see if, do we have you on, Lara?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't see you. I think you have to allow your video maybe.
Okay. Let's see there.
You are.
Yep.
Well, thank you for so much for that interview. It was great. And we're going to see if some people have some more additional questions about it. So I think Robin's asking if you give them a month's worth at the beginning. And then if it helps, have them sign up. I think it probably depends on how many patches they're needing at the beginning. I think you said you send them home with maybe 3 patches or something.
Oh, sometimes as part of my treatment, I'll say, hey, try these for 3 days. If I'm going to see them relatively soon, I'll just say, I'll just include it as part of their treatment so they can try it and I'll put one on them. And then if I really think that they're going to need it more long-term, or maybe they have an acute injury, then I will say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and let's send you home with these and go ahead and try them for a month and let's see if this helps your pain. And then I'll just sell them a retail pack. But there are patients who I definitely feel have a few things going on and they definitely are going to need probably a few months. And then I'll just say, hey, let's just go ahead and give this a shot. One thing I commonly do is the X39 and the Eon. And you can do like a silver package, which is like $300 plus tax and shipping. And that ends up being 2 packs of X39 and 2 packs of Eon. So it's kind of a 2-month supply for somebody. And I think that's a really powerful combination because the X39 is really building and has a whole host of effects involved in deeper conditions. And then the Eon really helps with inflammation and pain. And the two of them together, I think, are an awesome combination and definitely being studied by LifeWave. So that's a common combination that I do. And most patients, as a clinician, I'm in a great position to say, hey, this is what I think it's going to take. And most people, when you say, hey, I'm really confident this is going to help you and I highly recommend it. Most people that are coming to see a clinician want to know what you have to say. And right. If you come off with confident, hey, I use these, check it out, look at my neck, here's where you're going to put it, try it out, right? And I don't even talk too much about the guarantee, but if for any reason I sort of guarantee it myself. But I do like them to order from the company because I think if they wanted to change their mind for any reason, it wouldn't be on me to do the refund. So I don't know, I do all 3 things. And some people, they're signed up, but they come by and they're like, hey, do you have an extra pack? Like, I need it today. I'm kind of out. And I'm like, yeah, take a pack and then we'll order it as soon as you need a couple other things. So I think having worked with it for a couple of years now, I've just sort of like created what works for me. But it also depends on the client. And some clients I see once a month, so for maintenance. So yeah, it's nice to have all options.
And you do keep some in the office there.
For sure. I'll show you how I keep them.
The good stuff.
The good stuff. And they fit in here. So it's nice to just be able to take this to work. But, I've got, X39, Eon, LifeWave glutathione, and let's not forget about Nirvana. Everyone can use a happy patch right now. I actually tested this out because I get seasonal affective disorder, and woe is me. I live in San Diego, and during June we get a little gloomy, and I do actually really notice the difference. It's like I'm not really down, but for some reason I get down in June. And I actually gave these a try. These are Nirvana, and these are really great too for when you're just feeling a little down, and it really does kind of make you feel lighter. Really, just what the patch does. We feel lighter, so I like it too.
Did you wear them for just a month? Did you wear them longer than that?
Yeah, I take them out once in a while, but I also tend to wear, I think my favorite for me is the Eon patch, because I do think I tend to have some inflammation, and it also has a really positive effect on your liver. And that's always something that I could use some help with. It's kind of the garbage disposal of our body. So I'm always trying to empower that. And it helps with, some back pain that I get sometimes. And then the X39 is great because that's always building. So sometimes I use carnosine, glutathione. So, I try not to put, to cover my entire body with patches, but I will go through phases where maybe I'll take a break from X39 and use Nirvana, or I'll take a break from carnosine and I'll use something else. So I kind of play around with them depending, kind of experiment on myself a little bit. Sometimes I will say that it's purely intuitive because I'm highly intuitive, and sometimes I just am drawn towards something. So everybody can make it their own.
I've got a question here. Do you ever introduce energy enhancer for boosting the mitochondria production?
I do sometimes. And you know what else I use them for? Pain, because they're very close to being, let's see if I have it here, energy enhancer. Mm-hmm. They are very similar to LifeWave. And so if I run out of LifeWave sometimes in the office, I just use energy, or if I have a bunch of energy packs and I don't have many LifeWaves, I'll use the energy ones. And I find that they're pretty similar. So I do think that the way that I think about pain and discuss pain is really a request for change. It's a blockage in energy. So whether you're using an acupuncture needle or whether you're stimulating the body along meridian lines, I think that if you can reconnect energy and there's pain there, then pain's just a signal that you need to reconnect energy in a certain area. So whether you're connecting it with an LifeWave or an energy patch, it seems to be pretty similar. And I got that from David himself. I didn't make it up. So he did talk about that. So sometimes it depends what I have on hand. But yeah, I have tons of energy. So that's not my issue. But I do use them, especially on kidney one is my favorite point. That's on the bottom of the feet. And the kidney's kind of the whip for the rest of the organs. And so if I have a person who's like, I'm tired all the time, I'm lazy, adrenals are an issue, thyroid's an issue, I just kind of feel yucky. And the other thing is dominant kidney has, black circles, allergic reactions, or really baggy under the eyes. They look like they haven't slept. So that's another trigger sometimes where I'll kind of investigate their organ system and put them on the bottom of their feet. Yeah, sometimes they really can feel it, actually, like a sensation, like a little buzzing, and they'll feel some energy come up through their feet. So yeah, I'll use it for that too.
Yeah, no, I love using the patches down there too. Mm-hmm. Let me see if I've got any more questions. It looks like, let's see, Gail was asking, how was the doctor approach that caused you to be open to selling to LifeWave? But it wasn't just to be clear, it wasn't a doctor that approached you. You went to a presentation.
Yeah, no, I was actually working with Michelle, who does, she's a kind of a clinician for, she does EFT work. And so she and I are good friends. And so she knew Paula, and Michelle and I were very, let's see if we can run down some things. And, we had fun doing it. I like to, I like to make everything fun pretty much. So I was like, hey, I'll go with you. And I thought it was really a fetch, and it sounded like a lot of hoo-hooey. And I went and I thought, well, this is pretty cool. But then when I needed it myself, that's when I thought, well, I'll try it. So
Right.
I came in very skeptical because I have a very scientific mind, and I was, trained very traditionally. So I really like, before I'm going to use something on myself, much less my patients, I want to understand the science to it. So I really dove into that. Although you don't really need to know all the science, it's really experiential. And I've talked to lots of people on the phone that want to talk my ear off and debate the science. And I tell them, look, I'm really not going to spend this much time with you until you're willing to come in and experience it. Because once you experience it, you care a lot less about the science. If it takes away your pain, you think, well, there must be something to it. And then there's all the science, all the papers, the research is all on the website. So that's easy for people to look up.
A lot of clinical trials have been done.
Tons. Yeah. So it's solid.
Yeah. And I know, I think, when I've talked to professionals, it's always, we really want them to use it themselves because,
oh, for sure,
to try it out themselves. So Paul's got a question, and I've never heard of this, so I'll have to ask you. He's asking if you have any experience with PEM or post-exertion malaise.
Well, malaise is such a common term with COVID right now, but I call that DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness. And we might be talking about the same thing, but sure. Yeah, I think it's great for that. There's always an inflammatory part of that. So certainly if you're sore, especially for athletes, what can really boost recovery is something like carnosine. Eon for sure, carnosine, sometimes Eon, carnosine, and glutathione are great. If you're going to add one more, you can do the X39, or you can use the X39 and carnosine. So I do have some athletes that need that, or even after a bar or a yoga class, and they tend to feel depleted. The energy patches are fine too, but I think carnosine and X39 are really great at speeding up that recovery and performance.
Okay, and I think we've got time for one more question. If anybody has something they'd like to ask before we're trying to keep this from running on too long, and we appreciate your time coming tonight. And I'll give you a second to answer and ask another question. But in the meantime, I do have a favor to ask. If someone that cared enough about you to share the invitation to join us tonight, please take a minute to return the favor and let them know that you were here and what you liked best about it. And I don't see any more questions tonight, so that's great. I really, really appreciate your sharing your knowledge and your time. I have one question real quick. How long have you been using them in your practice? So I guess
2 years. Yeah, it's been 2 years now.
Yeah, 2 years. You've seen a lot of changes, a lot of improvements, and I think it's just going to get better and better from here.
Yep, absolutely.
So I hope everybody's enjoyed the presentation today. And with that, I hope you'll join us next week. Thank you again, Dr. Lara, for your time and your knowledge and your sharing. And for everyone, if you registered for this week's Zoom, I'll send you a link for next week, and would love to have you back then. So again, thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.